Hey everyone! Hope you're having a great Wednesday. Today we are going to be talking about the big events in your life. We're studying the word plot. A plot is the events in a story or a movie, the most important events that you need to be able to craft a story or craft a film, okay? Well, in your life, you also have events. You have big moments, things that are exciting and give you a lot of joy and have a lot of emotional intensity. And then there are moments that are kind of like less intense, right? And then there are some blah moments or terrible moments even in our lives that really impact us. Now, sometimes we have big changes in our lives and there's not a huge impact, but it does change like our perspective of things. I want you to start thinking about the big moments in your life. And on the second slide, I'd like you to brainstorm a couple. So, for example, for me, one of the big moments in my life was when I moved from Florida to New York. Um, we moved away from my dad. My mom and my dad did not get along. He was abusive. These don't have to be in any particular order. Another big moment in my life. Oh, big moment. I remember playing on a boys' baseball team, and I was a first baseman, and I got most improved, and that was like huge. I was so happy about that. Another big moment. My sixth grade graduation. And you can think of any times, like from being like a year old, if you remember that, or maybe it was a story your parents told you or your grandparents or whomever you live with, all the way to now. So, sixth grade graduation. Um, I got lots of awards, and I actually was asked that same year to be in a program called Odyssey of the Mind. Odyssey, let me spell it. Program Odyssey, which is for, and also great books, which is for kids who show a lot of talent in the academic area, kind of smart kids. All right, so there's a three. You need to have 4 to 10, okay? 4 to 10. So the next thing that you're going to do, slide 3, is you're going to fill in this chart with those events. Now you're going to see there are 10 events here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. But you only have to have, how many did I say? 4. So 4 is a grade of 75. Now, if you don't want a 75, you're going to want to go back and brainstorm a couple more, okay? What you're going to do is now you need to put those events in time order, starting with the first thing that happened to you, your age or your grade, okay? That's the first thing you're going to do. And then you're just describing the event, which means you can just go and you can just copy and paste. So go ahead and highlight it, hit CTRL-C, and then just paste it in. Remember, it has to be in time order. Okay, so this would be the first thing that happened to me. Now you do have to put your age that it happened. So let me go ahead and show you my copy, which is in here in your slides. It's on page, I'm going to move it to 6, on page 6. So here's mine. I'm going to make it large for you to see. So my first event was birth. And my mom was a 15-year-old single mom who didn't have a job. So you see that right there. And she didn't actually get along with her own mother. So that was actually over here on the right. It says rate -7 to 10. Now that's going to make sense in a minute. Okay. So you have to rate your event. A 10 is going to be awesome. It was like the best point in your life or one of the best points in your life, like amazing, right? As you go down, a 5 might be pretty good. A 2 is all right. A 0 would be like it didn't really have an emotional impact on you either way, but maybe it was a big change. Okay. Maybe your mom and dad got divorced, but later on your mom got a boyfriend. You didn't like the boyfriend, you didn't hate the boyfriend, but it was a big change because your boyfriend, maybe, your mom had a boyfriend, so she spent more time with him. I don't know. And then if you go down to negatives, those are going to be things that you feel like negatively impacted you. All right. So let's go back to my chart to see what I rated that. So I rated that a -2. It was a little bit negative. Okay. My second event here says I was at 5 years old. And yes, I remember this. My mom, sister, brother, and I secretly left in the early hours to get away from my stepdad, who was not a good person. I should change that from Florida to New York. This was a scary time in my life. I rated that a -3. That was 5 years old. Now, if I only did 2, I'd have a grade of 45. And I'll show you what it means to only do 2 because this project's not over. 6 years old, I started to love being with my grandfather in New York, who showed me what it meant to be a father figure. My grandpa was like a father figure. That was a good time, so I rated that a 5. My 4th event, so this would be a grade 75. I was 8. You can see these are all in time order. My brother passed away unexpectedly. He was a year and a half old. That was a -6. That was pretty close to the worst thing that ever happened to me. All right, so that's the next thing you need to do is fill this in with your first event, when it happened, and then what you rate it. Remember, you don't have to have 10, but if you want to get 105, which yes, you can get on this assignment, you'd have 10. Now, what are you going to do next? Now, the next part is kind of tricky. Slide 4, you've got a slide that has a bunch of numbers at the top, 1 through 10. Those represent your 10 events. So 1 represents this event right here, event 1. What we're going to be doing is plotting our events. So let me show you what this will look like first, and then we'll go back and practice. So here are my 10 events and what they would look like if I plotted them. So looking at the bottom, it says birth to 5 years old down here. Okay, and then kindergarten to grade 5, which is 11, and then grade 6 to now, which you guys, that's grade 8. My first event, which was birth, okay, I gave that a -3. My second event, I gave a -3. And then when I met my grandpa, that was a 5. So you can see that goes over there. Now this is like the x-axis, right, in math. Birth to 5 years old, this is time. So this is time moving forward. This axis, the y-axis, these are our numbers. This is the emotional impact, how it affected us in life. Now, let me go ahead and plot that out for you with my example so you can see how it works. So number 1, my birth is a -2. So look at your number 1. And so I'm going to take my number 1 event and I'm just going to slide it down to -2, about there. And birth is right away, right? Okay. Then my second event is at 5 years old. That's a big stretch, and it's a -3. So I got to go down. There's 5 and bring it down to where it's about 5 years old. It's going to be like about here probably. Doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Okay, and that was a minus. Was that a -3? That's a -3. The first one was a -2. Oops. Second, I think I got my chart wrong. I have to go back to that. Let's look. Oh, yeah, I did. Look, I better go down. Okay. Oops, go up. I'm going to have to fix my line. I'll show you what that looks like in a minute. Anyway, my third event is a +5. So I grab my third event. And how old was I? 6. Okay, so it's going to be right next to that. And it's a +5. So as long as these are moving over to show time, +5. That red line helps me sometimes line it up. 5. So there's birth, big stretch to 5, and then a little stretch to 6, right? 5 to 6. Okay. Now the last thing that you have to do after you plot all your lines, like we were just plotting them, is draw a line connecting them. Like you see my line here, but I just said I screwed that up, so I got to fix this line. How do you draw the line connecting time? Well, what you do is you go up. You've got a marking at the top in your tools, and it says line. You got to click on that drop down and go to scribble. Okay, starting at 1, you're just going to connect those. And I did it in 2 sections. There. Now I've plotted my entire life. Again, you don't have to have 10 events, but you can see my life started pretty low. And then it got high, and then it went down, and then it got up. It's like a roller coaster, right? So I can see the downs and ups in my life. So that is what we were doing. As long as you get to 4, right? As long as you get to 4, then you'll get a 75. If you get to 5, you'll get an 80. And those grades showed you right here, right, on your chart. Okay, guys, now if you have any questions, you can always go back and rewatch this video. Or if you rewatch a video, you're still confused, just let me know. I'm here. I'm grading your vocab. All right. Good luck. You have all period to work on this. Bye, guys. Oh, by the way, you can check out my examples at the end if you'd like.